but I want to start with this right here. Guys, I think Keelon Russell at Alabama is going to be great, okay? There's little to no doubt about that in my mind, having done my own research of this prospect, right? Having seen him throw in person out there at the Elite 11 last summer, knowing the pedigree and the level of success that he's had at the level of high school football that he played out there at Duncanville. Doesn't get more competitive than Metro Dallas high school football out there in Texas, okay? And he was prolific throughout his high school career and tremendously accurate, protected the football, right? Evaluating the tape, and on top of the fact that I know, or at least I trust, the history of progression with Kalen DeBoer and a skill set at the quarterback position like this one, right? Not a super athlete that can throw a deep ball. I'm talking about an actual thrower of the football and an actual reader of defenses that makes tremendous decisions. I have very little doubt about whether or not Keelon Russell is going to be a successful college football player at the University of Alabama under Kalen DeBoer. But that being said, it took two throws that have been released today from Alabama's football department, okay? Two throws, albeit on air and routes on air, from Keelon Russell before all of Alabama's fan base that I saw on social media today was already just deemed him, hey, that's our guy, QB1, done. End of story. That's the starting quarterback at the University of Georgia. I know it's the internet, boys. I know most of those responses and most of those commenters are likely trolling. However, it all but confirmed it to me. All fan bases are relatively similar with regard to the quarterback position and how they respond to this type of footage that we saw today of Keelon Russell throwing two balls, routes on air. One of them was just a straight like, hey, we're just going to pat and go this thing, get the pace down. We're at the very beginning of practice. I think the other one was a deep comeback, okay? But that's all it took, QB1. And again, I think all fan bases are relatively similar in this facet with regards to backup quarterbacks specifically. All it requires is one film, one little video of the backup quarterback throwing the ball and the ball coming out with a lot of life and a lot of juice and a tight spiral. Done, period. Guy's a Heisman winner. All I got to say is, can we just at least see like maybe some Chattanooga tape? Can we see him light it up against a mid-major first before we're like, boom, Heisman winner. That's our guy, QB1. We'll talk about the overall reactions to backup quarterbacks because this is not new. Guys, this has been a very, very long history of, hey, I think the backup's better. We need to play him. We're going to go through a list of those guys here in just a second. But I do want to take the time to say this. Ty Simpson has waited around a long time to be a starting quarterback at Alabama and is an extremely talented football player in his own right. Extremely cerebral, very, very smart, accurate with the football, and a lot better athlete, sneaky athlete than a lot of people realize, okay? But I think the portion of the Alabama fan base might be setting this guy up for failure, and this is the byproduct, and this is the nature of college football, and it always has been. If there's somebody coming in that's really, really highly touted, the fans are going to clamor for that type of football player to be playing. However, I think we're definitely kind of marking off the Ty Simpson, or at least starting off the Ty Simpson regime, if you will, at Alabama, pretty rocky, if you will, from a fan base perspective, because I know what it's going to be. Ty Simpson is going to have to play at a damn near Heisman caliber level for Alabama fans not to be screaming about Keelon Russell if the games are tight, which they're going to be tight, because if you haven't looked around the SEC, the talent pool is tighter. We've been talking about it all offseason on this network. And that's not even to mention how quickly they bypassed a man by the name of Austin Mack, who, by the way, is Ryan Grubb's guy. Like, the reason Austin Mack is at Alabama is because Ryan Grubb wanted the dude to transfer from Washington before he ultimately transferred to Seattle to be the offensive coordinator up there.
I do think part of the reason for this...
Welcome in.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thanks, man.
I do think part of the reason for a lot of the excitement of Keelon Russell is because it's kind of been a minute since Alabama's had one of these highly rated quarterbacks that they handpicked at their program come in and be on the roster. Like, I know that Bryce Young was on the roster 2 seasons ago, but 2 seasons ago can feel like a long time to college football fans. And, you know, Jalen Milroe was talented, but he wasn't this former 5-star. And so now that Keelon Russell's on the roster now, it's like, ooh, we got another one. I can't wait for this one.
Grass always greener.
Oh, yeah.
Always greener.
And I also think it's not just that. It's also you're at a point in the season where fans are so starved and so deprived of anything related to their team, it's been 2 or 3 months since you've seen them on the field in a meaningful game for most teams. So when you do see that clip of, a quarterback throwing routes on air or someone going through workouts in the facility or something that doesn't necessarily translate to this is going to be a great player on Saturdays or does not, but they eat that up and they immediately jump to conclusions. And I think that's what you're getting here.
Kirby, based on tonight's numbers, I don't think the homies is out there starving for college football content, but we're starving to work. That's
right.
what we are. We are starving to work around here. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review. And this is famous, though, as the chat has hit on it right here. Marion Campbell says, boo starter, yay backup, which is what I'm calling this next segment. Boo starter, yay backup. Boys, there are a lot of historical examples. I think the OG one we found in the chat today, who was the ball knower that submitted this one? Was this you, Kirby?
Was me, yeah.
All right, this is the OG. The backup's better. You got to play him. Tim Tebow's freshman year, they waited behind Chris Leak and just held the doors off of Tim Tebow the entire time, pulling the reins, being like, hey, fan base, this Chris Leak guy, pretty damn good. We're about to go win a national title. Will y'all stop booing him for Tim Tebow?
Yeah, that was that's the first one I remember. I'm sure there's other that go back in time, but I was like 5 years old that season. I very well remember even thinking then, why don't they like their quarterback? It doesn't make sense to me. And obviously Tim Tebow did what he did and it made sense. But.
Cam Newton to this day says Chris Leak, best ball he's ever seen thrown. Chris Leak, pretty ball thrower. It's important. Got to throw a tight spiral.
Too bad the algorithm wasn't helping him out back then.
Yeah, no, the algo was all about, hey, did you hear about the curling competition Tim Tebow won as a child? Have you read that story?
Yeah, where he did 270 reps.
Oh, no, they stopped counting. His older brothers left the room, and for the next 3 days, Tim Tebow walked around like he had a tray in his hands because his biceps had atrophy in them.
Pretty sick.
Tebow, the original grinder. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the OG backups better than starter. Do you want some more, boys?
Let's hear it.
Cardell Jones over JT Barrett. JT Barrett was damn near about to win a Heisman. They're like, hey, this big chooch thrower, this guy got to be him.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one as well because you had that 2014 season. Obviously, JT Barrett got hurt. Cardell Jones came in and won you the Natty. So you came into 2015 of we need to start Cardell Jones. He won us a national title. He's got this big arm. I don't know if you remember that they had that competition during spring day. He threw 50 yards on his knees. Fans were in love with Cardell Jones. Ultimately, JT Barrett ended up winning that starting job, but very controversial.
Wasn't Cardell Jones a really high pick because of the arm?
I don't know if it was.
Or did he go third round?
I don't think it was a high pick. I don't think he was high to mid. You got a routine, man.
Yeah, man. That's on me.
You've gotten so used to just popping him in on the road.
4th round pick.
4th round pick. Hurts and Tua was one of these.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So another one where the backup came in and won you the Natty and kind of created some controversy.
Absolutely. And from my recollection, the noise around Tuscaloosa was, hey, this lefty's a dude. Very early on when he first got on campus, it was like, hey, this guy's probably better than what we got right now with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think with hindsight, you can understand why Saban had so much of a hesitancy to do that, to pull him, because obviously we've come to find out, and I think we knew in college too, but we've really come to find out, stamped, verifiable, Jalen Hurts is a leader of men.
Well, not just that. I think people forget that the season before, he took you to an SEC championship. He took you to
as a first-year starter.
Took you to a national championship and almost won the thing by himself, with the exception of Deshaun Watson having that incredible last-minute drive. That's 50, 60 touchdown run that he had won you the game if there was no Deshaun Watson. So.
Chat's already hit on it. Another famous one, JF over JF in the Georgia space. It's forbidden names. We don't talk about them, but initials JF. I personally was a fan of JF.
I like JF, actually.
Yeah.
I understood why some people liked JF, but I also felt like JF was probably the right answer.
I thought for the time that they were at, JF had to be the answer, And then I think with hindsight, we found out that JF maybe didn't see it as well as the other JF might have.
If you didn't
one JF supremely talented.
Yes. Well, not only that, if you didn't go with the certain JF, you likely don't have the list of quarterbacks that you have following now. So.
Oh yeah, the JF domino effect. That was an awesome one. One JF leaving the roster opened up a roster spot for one SB. Yeah,
SBIV.
Oh man, you guys spent a week together, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh man, can't wait to talk about the combine a little bit. I felt like these two guys got closer being trapped in a hotel room and in a car together all week.
Hotel room, media room, car. Just
powwowing everywhere you went. All right, let's keep it going. There's some more famous ones here. Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that was
massive.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the ones where it happened pretty quickly and it resulted in a benching pretty quick. Like the Spencer Rattler needs to go experience lasted like 3 weeks, and then Caleb Williams came in and saved that. You remember they're getting their
3 weeks, one play. Wasn't his first play from scrimmage a quarterback sneak for 80 yards?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm saying like the process of like Spencer Rattler needs to be benched and then him actually getting benched.
Oh, it took a while. It took some progressively worsened play.
But it didn't take super long because remember coming off of that 2020 season, they beat the hell out of that Florida team. Like Spencer Rattler was a Heisman. Like
you're talking about it went out quickly?
Yeah.
The Spencer Rattler flame extinguished really quickly out there at Oklahoma, and it didn't help that the highest rated quarterback in high school football was right behind him.
Correct.
Out there. So, no, it didn't take very long. And I think they ultimately obviously made the right decision there. Trevor Lawrence and Kelly Bryant, another one, didn't take very long.
No,
I feel like that's probably one of them that felt pretty lopsided, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that one kind of
easy
felt...
decision. Probably shouldn't be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also think this was... Was this a result of an injury?
I think so.
Maybe.
Because here's why I remember it. Because I can't remember if Kelly Bryant had entered the transfer portal immediately after or if he had gotten injured, because Trevor Lawrence got a concussion in his first start, which is why Chase Bryce had to come in and save the day for Clemson, which got him that legendary name.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if Trevor Lawrence actually won the starting job or was kind of handed it. But either way, there was definitely a debate that 2018 season.
George on the list for JF, and JF on the list again for Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels. I don't know if you guys recall, but there were certain, quote, insiders and media people who were out here clamoring the JT Daniels and banging the JT Daniels drum all the way up to the Orange Bowl against Michigan the first time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was, hey, maybe this short walk-on guy's going to cost us a championship.
That's the one where it's like, all right, the backup can go now.
Yeah.
Like the backup got the starting job, won you a few games, and the entire time it's just like, when's the starter coming back? Little did you know he was the new starter.
Yeah, 5 for 6 for 255 against UAB wasn't enough. The 10 corresponding games after that weren't enough. Going into the Orange Bowl, should we start this 5-star who hadn't played since he put up 3 offensive points against Clemson? Probably not.
To be fair, he did ball out against South Carolina. That was his last full start.
That's true.
He did. He dropped like 400 yards against them.
Not only that, but I believe Stetson threw a pick on his first possession against South Carolina. And that felt like the moment of like, all right, we know
JT's
now.
got the job.
This is it. It's decided.
You guys always checking me with the Georgia facts. I love that. We need that around here a little bit more. Me getting put into my place.
Put in your place.
Arch and Quinn, one of these examples.
For sure.
Everybody wanted Arch. Quinn kept getting held on almost to a fault. We'll find out a little bit more with hindsight.
That one's still developing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going to find out. If Arch goes and does what everyone apparently thinks he's going to do, then the entire Texas fan base is going to do to Sark what they did to Kirby Smart for a while, especially if they don't win a title. They'll be like, damn, we could have won one last year.
Yep.
Right.
The roster was better last year. We could have done one last year. So, yeah, that's going to happen if Arch is out here obliterating on college football and they don't win a national title this year. Another one, Joe Milton and Nico. I felt like Tennessee fans were clamoring for Nico last year when Joe Milton was kind of struggling 2 years ago.
This one didn't feel as nationally prominent. It kind of felt like it was more so just a conversation within the Tennessee fan base.
Yeah.
But, man, I mean, there towards the middle of the season when Joe Milton overthrew a slant for the 15th time that year, it was like, this other guy has to be better than this.
Yeah, but Jonathan, at his pro day, they had to go outside so he didn't hit the roof.
That's really cool.
The funniest thing I remember about that Joe Milton season was the lead up to it.
Overthrow Joe's a great nickname.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Him throwing the beam in the office, the Barstool office with the satchel over his shoulder.
The QB camp, I think it was the Manning Passing Academy where he had the 70-yard
He did it
bomb.
twice.
Yeah.
QB Country did a backflip after throwing one and then went to Peyton Manning's camp and
People
did it
were
again.
just like, this guy's the Heisman winner. Tennessee is the national champion. And we know that didn't work out.
Hot take, quarterback prospects should do more backflips.
Why?
I don't know. It went viral for Milton every time.
Yeah.
It did for Anthony Richardson every time. Just shows pristine athleticism.
I feel like most of the time.
Round off backhand.
I feel like every time someone does a backflip, it goes viral in football.
Yeah.
Jabril Peppers did this. It happens every year at the Combine when they finish their workouts. They run down, someone does a backflip, and it's like, holy shit, look at this.
Gunnar Stockton got to do a backflip this year if he wants to be a potential NFL draft pick one day.